Hello everyone, you've reached the Quas channel and this is a short retelling of the movie Blue Abyss. Sisters Kate and Lisa have come on vacation to Mexico. In search of thrills, Kate convinces her sister to go underwater in a cage and look at white sharks. But the cable breaks, and the girls find themselves at a depth of 47 meters, with less than an hour's supply of oxygen, 2 hours from shore, and surrounded by dangerous marine predators. Two sisters, Lisa and Kate, are vacationing in Mexico. Lisa has just broken up with her boyfriend, and Kate, willfully though with good intentions, decides to divorce her sister by inviting her to a disco. There they get acquainted with two local guys who offer them to try an unusual entertainment activity, diving into cages with great white sharks. Kate is experienced in this activity and is immediately seized by the idea. Lisa, on the other hand, has her doubts, as she has never dived before. However, eventually, under the influence of her sister, she agrees to the adventure. The next morning they meet at the agreed place, where the guys are already waiting for their acquaintance. Captain Taylor, who is the organizer of such probably illegal entertainment. The captain's boat is an old fishing boat, which is a little scratched, and the cage in which they will be in is all covered with rust. After seeing this, Lisa wants to give up on this venture. In enthusiasm, Kate persuades Lisa to continue their adventure. The assistant captain throws a bucket of blood and fish into the water to attract the sharks. Soon the sharks show up and the boys go down first. All goes well, and then the girls begin their dive. The cage descends to a shallow depth, about 3 to 4 meters. The two sisters rejoice as they watch the sea creatures swimming nearby. While waiting for the sharks to appear, they decide to capture the moment with a photograph. But suddenly the camera slips out of Lisa's hands and falls into the depths, where it is instantly swallowed by one of the sharks. Two huge sharks begin patrolling around the cage, causing it to vibrate unpleasantly. Lisa, in a panic, asks the captain to lift them back to the surface as the cage has begun to move. But the captain claims that nothing serious happened, but only the cable and the winch jerked slightly. Despite this, Lisa insists that they be extracted. The girls climb up, and as the guys are ready to open the cage's deadbolt, the cable breaks and the cage promptly falls down. It stops suddenly at a depth of 33 meters when the rope runs out, but soon continues its fall as the crane itself breaks away from the boat and falls to the bottom, behind the cage. The girls remain unconscious due to the sudden change in pressure. Kate is the first to recover and brings her sister back to consciousness. Meanwhile, Lisa begins to suffocate from the water and blood filling her mask. They try unsuccessfully to use a radio signal to contact Captain Taylor. At that time, Kate suggests going a little higher up the cage, as the signal may be clearer closer to the surface. However, the cage door will not open because it is pinned down by a fallen crane. Kate makes the decision to remove her no-fly tank and mask in order to get through the bars of the cage. This is successful, and she also manages to throw the crane off the top of the cage. Climbing upwards at a depth of 40 meters, she finally makes contact with the captain. Taylor inquires about the oxygen status and the depth they are at. He asks Kate to return to the cage and conserve oxygen, and informs her that his assistant Javier will be down to them soon with a spare cable from the winch. Kate goes back down to the cage to give her sister the captain's message. While they wait, they hear a sound that resembles a boat engine starting up. Frightened that the boat might sail away and leave them alone, Kate gets out of the cage again and heads upwards, trying to make contact with Taylor, who is no longer responding. Suddenly a shark appears and starts chasing Kate, but she successfully makes it back to the cage. The shark then attacks the cage and tries to break the bars. One of the bars cracks, but the shark eventually backs off and swims away. Soon the sisters notice a flashlight 10 to 20 meters away from them. They realize it must be Javier, but he somehow doesn't notice them, even though the lanterns are burning on the cage. There is little oxygen left. Lisa has enough for half an hour and Kate only a few minutes. Then Lisa, pulling herself together, offers to swim to Javier and bring him in with a tether. Swimming a short distance from the cage, Lisa barely manages to hide among the rocks to avoid a shark attack. After waiting a bit, she continues swimming towards Javier's lantern and suddenly realizes that she has swum to the edge of the bottomless gorge, on the other side of which she can see the lantern. Lisa does swim to the lantern, which is stuck, having fallen between the rocks, but does not see Javier himself. Regaining control of herself after her panic attack, she begins to look for a way back. Suddenly, Javier appears in her path and is instantly attacked by a shark but does not devour him. Lisa removes the rope from his motionless body and swims in the direction of her sister's voice. After tying the rope to the cage, Lisa climbs up and informs Taylor that the rope is tied and Javier is dead, then returns to the cage. Taylor starts to lift the cage, but at about 30 feet, the rope breaks and the cage falls back down again, pinning Lisa's leg. Kate leaves Lisa alone in the cage with the rest of the oxygen and rushes up to inform the captain of what has happened and that she is about to run out of oxygen. Captain Taylor promises to send them oxygen tanks, warning them of possible nitrogen narcosis and hallucinations. He also informs that he has contacted the Coast Guard and they are to send a special team capable of working in deep water. But it will take at least an hour. Taylor drops 2 cylinders and flares, which fall near the cage. Kate manages to swim to these cylinders, replacing her depleting oxygen with fresh oxygen, and returns with a second cylinder. However, near the cage, she encounters a shark, which drags her into the darkness. The cylinder remains near the cage, but due to her injured leg, Lisa cannot reach it. She manages to reach the harpoon and pull it towards her, but she hurts her palm in the process. With the harpoon, Lisa manages to get the oxygen tank closer and manages to replace it in time. Soon Kate is contacted. She reports that she is alive but seriously injured and that the oxygen cable was damaged by the shark. Lisa, having done her best, frees her leg from under the cage and swims to her sister. As she swims up to Kate, Lisa notices a large blood cloud around her and noticeable wounds on her thigh. Realizing that Kate cannot survive until the Coast Guard arrives, Lisa takes her hand and asks her to light a signal candle to scare off the sharks. Together they begin to slowly climb upward. Taylor stays in touch and asks the sisters to ascend more slowly, as they risk immediate death if the nitrogen bubbles enter their brains. At a depth of 20 meters, Taylor suggests they make a decompression stop for 5 minutes to flush the nitrogen out of their systems. Taylor begins the countdown, but the girl's first signal candle has gone out, and the second one slips out of the hands of a weakened Kate. When they finally light the last third candle, terror strikes their eyes. 3 sharks are observed around them. The flaring candles scare the predators away for a moment, and Taylor urgently orders the sisters to swim up. The girls quickly remove their tanks, which dive deeper and distract the sharks. At this time, they swiftly surface the water, but their boat is far away and the captain only manages to throw them a life preserver. Suddenly, a shark grabs Lisa and severely injures her leg. However, Lisa manages to break free. The sisters grab a life preserver and Taylor starts pulling them towards the boat. The guys try to pull the girls out by their hands, but at that moment the shark surfaces and attacks Lisa again, taking her underwater. Lisa, fighting hard, gnaws at the shark and squeezes out its eye. The wounded shark opens its mouth and Lisa manages to swim to the surface. The guys pull the girls aboard the boat and start giving them first aid, trying to stop the bleeding. Kate passes out and Lisa starts hallucinating, reflecting their severe wounds and the danger around them. Taylor yells to her that she is going into nitrogen anesthesia. At this point, it appears that Lisa is still sitting on the bottom of the ocean with her leg crushed by the cage. She looks at the blood trickling from her wounded palm and repeats, laughing, "We're saved!" Taylor's voice repeats that she has begun nitrogen narcosis and that the Coast Guard has arrived. Out of the darkness comes the light of the flashlights of the downed rescuers, and Lisa comes to her senses and realizes where she is and that Kate is dead. Lisa is escorted by rescuers armed with harpoons to the surface.